I'm always on the lookout for some great book marketing services, so it didn't take long for me to stumble over a service called Written Word Media. But little did I know, I actually heard of Written Word Media, and there are many different book promotion sites. And so it was with great pleasure that I stumbled over a gentleman. His name is Ferol Vernon. He's the founder of Written Word Media. I actually tripped up over him over at 20 Books Vegas this past year, and we got connected through mutual friend Chelsea Bennett through Lulu. And we just hit it off right from the rip. And it just so happened that I was doing a book promotion with Bargain Booksy, one of their sites. And actually, I'm going to have a full video about that over on my main channel. But, let's go ahead and talk about Written Word Media. Let's talk about book promotion in general. What did Ferol see in book marketing that he felt, this is what I'm going to be going after now? And also some other insights when it comes to promoting your book through social media and other avenues. So without any further ado, I'm super excited to introduce you to Ferol Vernon of writtenwordmedia.com. All right, we're coming in hot. I already told you, I warned you on this one right here. Describe to me Written Word Media in an elevator pitch.
So Written Word Media is a platform that helps authors sell more books. That's the simplest version of it. We do that with a couple of ways. We've got a membership platform. We've got a variety of sites that you can promote your book to. So combined, all those sites have an audience of around 1 million readers, which we're really proud of. And we've worked with 25,000 authors over the past couple of years, and that's the short version. That's Written Word Media.
That's awesome. See, I knew you were good for it. You'd be like, because it's so amazing when you go to writtenwordmedia.com, which I'm recommending all viewers go over there, visit it. It's very professional, like it's stellar. But one thing I noticed is you guys aren't all about, well, let me just take your money. Like, let me just take your money and hopefully you get some book sales. I noticed something that sets you apart from other book marketing services is you don't just have like a blog. You have a deep pool of resources. Share a little bit about that and how that came into fruition, because I'll tell you, there are so many posts on there and it's filled full of just absolute golden nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah, I'm glad you appreciate that, because we work super hard on it. It's not something that happens by accident, but a couple of years ago, we made the conscious effort that we weren't going to be a content factory, right? That we weren't just going to put an article out every day or every week. We're going to try to put them out every month or so, and we're going to go deep, right? Really research them, make sure that the content that we're writing is long form and really valuable, right? Actually useful for what today's author is going through. And that approach has served us well. I think when you read it, you can tell, you're like, oh my gosh, this is really cool. I'm going to set aside some time to read this instead of it being like a 30-second soundbite. And that's very intentional. And, a lot of authors, especially bigger authors, we end up asking them. So, we do an annual roundup, which we did in December, and we asked a ton of authors that you're probably familiar with, what they're seeing. So we try to synthesize trends that are going on in the industry, both, with the data that we're seeing on our services, because we work with so many authors, but also the opinions of other people in the industry that really know what's going on. So we can consolidate all this stuff into one place for authors. And that's really been the approach from day one.
It's very well researched, because there's oftentimes, you'll see the huge difference between something that is kind of an amateur blogger, and then you come over to a resource like yours where it's super, super polished. What is that process like for you guys to produce one piece of content? Does this take months of research? And do you have to hire out or?
No, we do it all in-house.
Okay.
We have one or two contractors that we occasionally use for drafts or for chunks of stuff, but the bulk of the content is written by our author marketing team, and they do a fabulous job. It's usually less than a month, but close to a month process for creating each one of those articles, and that sometimes involves heavy data analysis. So sometimes there's a lot of Excel and number crunching before we produce what we're writing. Sometimes it's more anecdotal, where we're firing off emails, doing phone calls, interviewing people, and consolidating that information. And sometimes it's, just deep thought articles on stuff that we've been reading and sort of consolidating from those kinds of sources. So there's kind of, a few different ways that we do it, but I'd say it almost always takes us multiple weeks to create something like that.
You don't strike me as the nerdy type. Like you sound like you're really into the data. You got excited as soon as I brought it up.
Yeah, I mean, I am the nerdy type. So, data and numbers has always gotten me excited, especially visualizing. I'm happiest when there's a graph associated with data that helps communicate it. And we do a lot of that stuff, and we have a pretty rich culture at Written Word Media too of looking at numbers. That's how we price all of our promotions for authors, is we say okay, on average, we want authors to break even on every promotion. That doesn't happen for everybody, but that's how we price them on average. And we do a lot of math to figure that out and figure out how to price things and how to sell things. And it's served us really well because you're not just sort of making stuff up as you go along and hoping that it fits. Obviously, everything is experimentation, but we've got rationale for most of what we do, and it's typically based on quantitative data.
Nice. Speaking of numbers, let's back up just a little bit. And this is something I think we kind of brushed right past with the elevator pitch. Written Word Media isn't just like one site, one service, but it's more of a curated, combined resource in itself. So how many book promotion services do you guys have, and what would you say is the flagship of Written Word Media? People come to that for that specific reason.
Yeah, so Written Word Media, we call it a media company, right? So it's authors and publishers know Written Word Media, but readers are familiar with some of our sort of sub brands. So FreeBooksy, you asked about flagship. FreeBooksy is probably our flagship product, right? It's one of the biggest sites out there to promote a free book, whether it's KDP or perma-free or whatever. But we have Bargain Booksy, which does a very similar thing, but for discounted books, Red Feather Romance, new in books, new releases, Audio Thicket, audiobooks. So, our belief is that for each brand, it finds a pocket of engaged readers. And then we can allow authors to access that group directly through that brand. Whereas if you put everything under one brand, it's sort of like a one size fits all. It's not a bad approach, but it's not what we believe is the best approach for engaging readers, right? Readers want to be connected to a brand that speaks to them. If you're an audiophile, we've got Audio Thicket. That's what you sort of connect with. But an author who's buying a free book, so you can also buy an ad on Audio Thicket through Written Word Media in one platform.
This is really cool. You've got all these different services, but I think if we skipped over the backstory to it, I don't think anybody is going to be as entertained as what I was when you and I had the conversation at 20 Books. What got you into this? How did this all come about?
Yeah, so the origin story is funny. It's my mother-in-law. So Written Word Media is a family business. My wife and I run it together. And it originally started, I was actually working in the music industry. And my wife was doing online marketing consulting at the time. And we're digital natives, young people at this time, it was a long time ago. And she writes a book, right? A niche piece of religious fiction. She can't figure out how to sell it. And we're like, oh, we can sell it. We can do anything. We understand the internet. And couldn't sell it, right? Got on Amazon, like, oh, maybe if we make it free, couldn't give it away, right? And we're like, oh man, what's going on here? So, nights and weekends, we kind of build this little site called FreeBooksy. I was interested in a website building platform called Squarespace that, we ended up moving away from. But so we're tinkering with stuff, and we start put my mother-in-law's book on there. We start putting some other free books on there to make it look like a real site. My wife is doing online marketing consulting, so she's running Facebook ads to the website just to see how it works. And then slowly, this is the good old days of Facebook, the audience starts to build. And then one day an author writes in and says, hey, can I pay you to put my book on the Facebook page? Can I pay you to put the book on the website? And that was really the light bulb moment for us. We're like, oh, wow, this is something that authors need, and maybe we can build a solution for it. So she ran it that way for a year or so, and then I quit my job in the music industry. We reincorporated the company as Written Word Media, and the rest is really history. And here we are, 8 years later. With
that first gig that you fired off, obviously today you've got the benefit of the data, working with over 25,000 authors, you're able to price it accordingly. But back then, you probably didn't have as much data. So, like, how did you come about what you were going to charge the person at that time?
So the funny thing is, we actually did have pretty similar data at that time. It was just a lot less of it. So, we were tracking affiliate sales like a lot of people do, and then using some math to kind of infer it. And so really the same model that we used back then still exists today. It's just we got many more layers of complexity that it used to when we started out with it. But the fundamental inputs, which are, how many book copies do we think authors are selling, is kind of the same. And we triangulate that with some sales data that we do have. And then because, a lot of it's Amazon, we don't have perfect data, which everybody knows about. We ask authors, right? We survey, and authors are just a wonderful group of people, and they tell us, and that information helps us make a better product.
Very cool. If I'm a new author and I'm going over to writtenwordmedia.com, what's the first thing I need to do? Because obviously there's a ton of stuff, as I kind of mentioned, and so some people might get overwhelmed. So what's the best first step for a new author just arriving to your website?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dale. So I think it really depends where you are in your author journey, right? So there's people like yourself, you've got a whole suite of titles, right? And for you, somebody like that, I'd say just promote something. Right? That's always going to be better than promoting nothing, right? And the sort of publish and pray model, I hope people are going to find it. It just doesn't work, especially not today. So you have to promote. And if you're not promoting, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up, but just promote something, whatever your most popular thing is, right? Or something that needs a little love from the backlist, whatever. If you're a brand new author, right, and you've just got that freshly minted Amazon link from KDP, or you've got a hard copy or whatever you've got, the answer is the same. Like, just promote it, right? Find something that's within your budget on Written Word Media and just buy it. For a lot of authors who aren't comfortable with free, which is okay, this is a bargain promotion, right? Set your book to 99 cents, buy a bargain Booksy, you will see activity, right? And that's something that for early authors is really important, because that's how you get those reviews. That's how you teach the Amazon algorithm that your book exists and what other books are like it, right? So if you're writing a cozy mystery, you buy a promotion with us, it's right next to all these other cozy mystery authors. Amazon's going to look at that and say, like, oh, they clicked on these three, so that's a cozy mystery. It's popular because a lot of people are clicking on it right now, so let me give it some love. And that's the game that you're playing right now with Amazon, and it has been for a while. It changes every couple of months. People freak out about the algorithm, but loosely, it's the same thing, right? Like, you've got to promote to teach it, and you've got to promote to keep the relevance of your book up. And we have options for pretty much any level of book and almost any budget.
I know that, and I'm going to come back to budget because I really like how budget friendly it is. But why don't we go ahead? We'll hit that right now. You look at a service like yours and compare it to, say, something like a BookBub platform where it's just hundreds of dollars and such like that. How do you feel Written Word Media compares to like your competition, like the BookBubs, or even the lateral businesses that are probably at about the same level?
Yeah, so I think, first of all, let me address BookBub, right? Some people are like, oh, well, I tried BookBub, and they're like unsure whether to talk to me about BookBub because they're like, oh, it's a competitor. Like, it's okay. Like, we can talk about it. BookBub's great, right? Like, I don't have if you as an independent author can get approved for a BookBub, it's almost always a good idea, right? Like, it really is. It works.
Man, it's expensive.
Man, it's expensive, but it is a good product that does work.
Yeah.
And what I would say is that everything is about amplification.
Yeah.
So if you can get a BookBub, buy our stuff as well on the same day or the day before or the day after. And what you want to do is really spike that promotion around a short 2 to 5 day period of time. So if you get a BookBub, that's great. Pat yourself on the back, dance around because they accept 1% of people or something crazy like
it's
that.
A fraction for sure.
It's really small, right? But then you come to us and we have a variety of products that are really sort of indie author friendly, where our approval rate is, orders of magnitude higher than BookBub. And so even if you get a BookBub, buy with us and amplify it. If you don't, that's okay. Maybe next time, come and buy with us. And, I think where we've kind of landed is like, average promotions for us are somewhere between $50 and $100. And we feel like that's a really approachable price for the majority of authors that are serious about promoting. We do run into people sometimes where they're like, hey, I have $10, I have $15 to spend. We're trying to figure out ways to sort of help those people out because I do want to be able to offer something everywhere. But right now, I think our lowest price promotions only is $25 or $30. So, and it's genre dependent. So I really, pretty much no matter what your budget is, if you're serious about it, spending $50, spending $100 is going to be a good investment of time versus, publish and pray or spending hours on Twitter trying to figure out what to write.
What, you can't sell books on Twitter?
Yeah, I know, right?
So here's some great advice. Hopefully you can kind of dispense to everybody here. I'm looking for marketing services. What are some of the things I need to look for? And what are some of the things that I need to be aware of? Just be very careful in using.
So I think the thing you want to look for, first and foremost is reputation, right? So you want to make sure you're dealing with a provider that's got some history. When you go there, it gives you confidence that they're treating your credit card number right and that the customer service is good. And like, you want somebody that's going to take care of you. And we try really hard to do that, right? It's really a part of our ethos. Our training program for our customer service people is like super intense, but everybody who works here is awesome. So I think, first of all, you want to make sure you're dealing with somebody reputable. And I think what you're alluding to there is something that is definitely less of a problem now, but still a problem and used to be a big problem, which is people that prey on your hopes and dreams, right? These are the people that are going to say, hey, give me $5,000 and I'll try to get you on Oprah and run a press release, which is like $400 of work, right? And that stuff, has diminished. I think we're lucky the industry has cleansed a lot of that out, but it still exists, right? And so as an author, you've got to be discerning and say like, hey, is this realistic? Or do I just hope that this is realistic, right? And I think that's something that, if you mentioned our blog, if you read our stuff, it sort of guides you in that direction. These are the people that you can tell, oh, they've researched, they've done their homework, versus somebody who just says, hey, give me $20 and I'll do what I can, right? Or I'll promote it on Twitter. And it's like, well, it's kind of a disaster right now. So like, is that really where I want to be spending my money? So I think it's like anything where you really want to make sure the reputation of the provider that you're working with is good. And I think that's sort of like one. And then two is performance, right? And the thing about that is, anybody that will promise you performance is not being truthful, right? What we try to do is say, hey, here's the audience we're going to promote it to. Here's some ranges. Here's some like stuff. And our customer service team will go back and forth with you over how they think you should promote. So if anybody's unsure, just reach out. And I think that's really what you want to do is like figure out where you want to promote, who you want to do it with, and is this somebody that can give me results? And I think if you can look at the forums, look on the website. If you can kind of check those two boxes, that's a pretty good place to start.
Nice. In your opinion, since you're marketing a lot of these books and such like that, obviously you can't force the customer to go and buy these books and such. What's going to increase my likelihood of selling my book through a marketing service such as yours?
Yeah. I say this so many times and it's true. And I think sometimes I get different reactions from authors, but there's two things basically that sell the book, right? The cover and the description, right? And that's the ad for the product that you're selling, which is the story that you've written. And so spending time on that cover and pay a pro, don't do it yourself. Don't have your cousin do it. Pay somebody who's a book cover designer to do it, right? We get lots of like, oh, my nephew knows Photoshop. And I'm just like, I'm sure he does. But, take your money and do it elsewhere. And you don't have to spend thousands of dollars, but spend a couple $100 on your cover. It's going to be so worth it. There's tons of great cover designers out there. I don't have a definite recommendation for you, but we often tell people to check on Readsy, which is a platform for finding consultants, a pretty good one. But pay somebody to have it done.
Yeah, Reezy's awesome. Love them.
They're great. They're great people. They have a great product. So if you're looking for a cover designer, you can check them out. And even like there's some pre-made covers out there, which are people that have a cover already designed and you just kind of give them the title. Honestly, most of that stuff is pretty good. Like, what you really want to avoid is starting from scratch, telling somebody, a random designer who's not a book cover designer, and having them put a whole ton of stuff on the cover. The cover's an ad for your book. That's it. And then the other big thing is it's got to hit genre. Like, what we've found, and we've surveyed thousands of readers, is the most important predictor of whether or not a reader's going to like your book is whether or not it's on genre, right? If I buy a romance, I want a love story. Like, that's it, right? And you can innovate on where it's set and who the characters are, but like, I want that story. And so if you don't give it to them, they're going to be upset. And you're communicating to them what's in the story by what's on that cover, right? And so, if you just see like a big building and it's a love story, they're going to be like, what? Right? That just doesn't communicate it, right? You want a couple, or you want one of the characters. There's themes. So have a professional cover and make sure it's on genre. That's like the short version.
Yeah.
And then on the book description, that's sales copy. That's ad copy. That's the way we tell authors to think about it. So why would someone want to read your book and sell? Some authors struggle with this, right? But what's less important is the plot description. What's more important is the sales pitch. Why is this book cool? What makes it different? Why should you read it? Has it won awards? Who loves it? And so, professionally designed cover on genre and sales copy written description. And those are sort of like the things you can do to increase your odds of a successful promotion. And when people do take our advice and they do those things, they see dramatic results based on people that are starting with sort of the homemade version.
Nice. I love it. It's almost like, we were separated at birth. I say the exact same thing. So this is fantastic. But before we do wrap up, I do have a couple more questions. I wanted to kind of circle back around to your membership option. Who is that for? What does it entail? And why should we go ahead and get some of that?
Yeah, so we're really excited about this. We launched our membership platform late summer last year, really in the fall is when it started to pick up steam. We built it to really deepen our relationship with authors. So we've always been a great service provider. Now we want to become much closer to the authors. Some of the primary benefits of it are you get discounts on our products. So if you're looking to save money, if you promote a lot, then it's a great deal. So you'll get a 10% discount on written word media products with the membership. You'll be able to access sort of inventory before everybody else. So you'll get some of our most popular promotions, you get a head start versus the non-membership. And then we also launch beta products and we give it to our members first. So really exciting, like today, like literally 2 hours ago, we launched a new way to book promotions that's far more efficient and will let you actually build a promo stack within the written word media dashboard. That's only going to our platinum members. And so those are the kinds of things where you get special products, you get them first, you get access to inventory first. And what we've kind of developed is this community with our premium members that's really special. And so whenever we get new opportunities coming in, those are the people that we think of first. And it's been really successful because we're able to kind of build that closer relationship with authors. And I think that's what people really want.
That's really cool. So I still have the option to order a la carte, or I could become a member and then get deeper discounts and insider type stuff.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, you'll always be able to book for free on written word media. That's never going away. So anybody can go to our site. You can sign up for an account. You can check out as a guest. You don't have to pay for membership at all. But for those authors that do want something a little closer with these extra benefits, the membership is a great option. And if you're somebody who promotes heavily, the way we've structured the discounts is kind of a slam dunk. I mean, it really shouldn't be something that you think too hard about because you're actually going to save money versus what you paid before you had a membership.